Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our body filler video seem to be doing lots better than any of our other shop updates or overalls, the final builds. So we're going to go a little more in depth with mud work today. When I was a younger man, we would just slop this on and sand it all off. The older I get, the more we find better, faster ways of doing things. I like taping the edges just because I can pull it off really quick while the mud's still wet and not have to sand all it out of the crack or nook and cranny or whatever. You know, we're going to go over the process. This is our epoxy primer. It's got 3 coats of epoxy. We really don't want to break through our epoxy. We want to keep the corrosion barrier down. It looks like we had something here at one time, and those got welded up, so we got 2 welded spots right there. Anytime we have a weld on a panel, we put fiberglass down over the weld just to close a pinhole in the weld. The fiberglass is watertight, the regular body filler is not. But before we do that, we have to put a mechanical scratch on the epoxy primer so the body filler will stick to it. Every time we pick up the block is a chance to make the panel straighter. So instead of just sanding that, we're going to actually block it. Okay, go again. So instead of just scuffing this like I just talked about, the bit will put the body filler on there. I am using a block. And this right here is just a this right here is 2 pieces of polycarbonate that we rubber cemented together. It lets it flex. We've already broken through our epoxy, which we didn't want to do, but it's not the end of the world. That shows you what they look like when they come back from the sandblaster too. Not every panel, I mean, blast them, that's awful hard. So you can see high spot, really high spot right there where that weld is. We got low all the way through here. We got our snap-on straight edge here. This is for like checking flatness of heads and cylinder blocks. And we see we've got this great big giant low spot here. We're just gonna lay this on here like that. And you can take a look at the light shining underneath that. As you can see, it's not very much, less than 1/8 of an inch all the way across. And that's important because you're not supposed to have a body filler any thicker than 1/4 of an inch. So even though that looks really bad, it's going to be okay. We're body working both of these at the same time. And so we are just going to take a little piece here, and we're just going to scuff that really low spot for the fiberglass to go over our welds right there. So think back to how big that little low spot is. There's a chunky right out of the can. Think back to how big that little low spot is on the cow. And that's going to give you a good idea about how much we're going to need to fill the low spot. If I'm doing it, I would rather mix twice than I would mix once. It's more mixing, it's less sanding, less product waste. So I think that right there is pretty good. 1 inch per golf ball size, just swag it. That golf ball, the 1 inch size of hardener, that's for regular body filler, polyester based body filler. Fiberglass requires twice as much hardener, so it'd be 2 inches of hardener for 1 golf ball size of, if you were to stack that up, that's not even a golf ball. So we got 3/4 of an inch for less than a golf ball, pretty close to where we should be at hardener to fiberglass. So that's mixed and ready to go on the panel. We're gonna go over there and lay it on the panel. I'm gonna call it good. Now we're gonna go back to the most important part, cleaning our tools up. All right, there's all your waste. And we just got that cleaned up. So again, with sizing up the area to be covered on the board, how much we need, what we're gonna be covering, you can guess it roughly just by doing that, if you like. We're gonna cheat just a little bit. We're gonna thin this out with some fiberglass resin. The fiberglass resin will slow our dry time just a little bit. And it's just like reducing primer. It just makes it flow a little bit better. Mix the resin in before we put the hardener in it. Ensures an even mix, and it doesn't start our clock on the body filler setting up. So out of all that, that's our waste right there. So that's our waste. Remember we talked about the peel offs earlier? Put our waste right there. Peel our nut, peels that back. And grab more there we go. So just take this, I'm just gonna whack that edge right there. There's our waste. We used our peel out, that's it. That's gonna sand out real nice and pretty.